Tell me a little bit about your game design philosophy. How do you do it on pencil and paper first? How do you think about a game before you start coding?
I do a little bit on pencil and paper. You know, I'll draw, like for an adventure game, right? I'm just drawing lots of charts, you know, about how the puzzles connect together.
Is it like a decision tree? Is it like a storyboard?
Yeah, it's a little bit like that. I call them puzzle dependency charts. And if you go to the, you know, blog.thimbleweedpark.com, I actually put a bunch of puzzle dependency charts for Thimbleweed Park up there.
Oh, neat.
So people can see how they are. They look like graphs, right? They look like kind of a, you know, a flow chart, but they're not really a flow chart, because they're not about the flow of the game, you know, from kind of, you know, the beginning to the end. They're more about how the puzzles are dependent on each other. These are all the whiteboards that we did when we were designing Thimbleweed Park. So you kind of see a little bit of our thought process.
Boy, this is really open of you. I can't believe
we would just sit down and mock up everything on the whiteboards.
Wow. And no, don't read these. There's spoilers.
Yeah,
there's
huge spoilers.
But I love it that you're documenting like this. I mean,
yeah, from the beginning, that's really what we promised in the Kickstarter, is we were going to, you know, have this blog and we were going to talk about it, you know, every aspect of the project. So in the 2 years that it took us to build Thimbleweed Park, you know, we did hundreds of these blog entries where, you know, at least twice a week we talked about what we're working on, and kind of, you know, we wanted to do it spoiler free, so we didn't really come out and talk about stuff. We had to dance around a lot of issues, but we tried to be open.
But what you know, this is fantastic for anybody who's got an interest in the kind of how things.
This thing you're looking at right now, this is one of our first tests of our engine, because we wrote our engine from scratch, and so this is one of the first tests that we did for the engine.
Is this the first game you've crowdsourced?
Yeah, it is.
How is that? I mean, I love it that it encouraged you, maybe even forced you to kind of show the sausage being made from the beginning.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to do, and I think with crowdsourcing, I mean, it's kind of a double-edged sword, right? Because you can get money from the fans, but you know, you really have to keep the fans very involved in what's going on, very up to date, right? It's not so much that that you're taking direction from them, but you do really need to kind of tell them what you're doing, because a lot of Kickstarters run into problems because they get the money and then they just vanish. And it's not that they're not doing work, but nobody sees anything. Right. And then, you know, 9 months later, people are screaming because they don't know what's going on. And so the tack that we really took with the Kickstarter was just, you know, to always tell people this is where we are and this is what we're doing.
I think this is so great. You even had a podcast and did dozens. You did 66 episodes.
Yeah, we did a lot of those. Yeah, we did podcasts. Those were a lot of fun to do.
I think that's just so cool. And I would guess it's kind of satisfying for you to have. It's a very different way of doing a game. You're developing it with the community. I don't know how much input were you getting from the community.
We got input on some things, right? You can't take input on like core design decisions, right? Because a lot of times that would be spoilers for the community, and also design decisions are incredibly complex, right? You have this very complex machine that you're working on, and you can't just change one thing without it affecting everything else. So, you know, it's hard for, you know, people to just come in from the outside and go, oh, I think you should do this, right? Because it's like, well, if we do this, it's going to affect all these other things. But the areas that we really, you know, tried to keep people involved is, you know, there's a gigantic library in the game, and, you know, we asked people to submit books for the library. So we have around 1,000 books in the library that people can go, you know, read, you know, 2 pages of every book, and all those were submitted by readers of the blog and backers. And we have the phone book where, you know, the names of backers are in the phone book, and they could even record a voicemail message. So if you call up that phone number, you get to hear a voicemail message that one of the backers recorded.
Oh, that's awesome. What a great idea.
Yeah, that was fun. That was our $50 reward tier for our Kickstarter.
How much did you end up raising?
$626,000.
Is that enough to cover the cost of developing something like this?
Not fully. We did raise some additional money through some angel investors. I think in total we've spent probably around $1 million making the game.
$1 million. Wow. I mean, that's kind of, I mean, especially compared with, I don't know, how much do you think it cost to make Maniac Mansion? I mean,
well, yeah, Maniac Mansion was a lot less.
Yeah.
I mean, that was really only 3 people worked on that game. It was me and Gary and David Fox came on at some point. So that was like 3 people. That's a 3-person team, where Thimbleweed Park was probably around 12 people in total, and also a lot more art, than Maniac Mansion, or even a game like Monkey Island had. There was so much more animation and art in Thimbleweed Park, so it just became a little more expensive to do.